we have another keynote speaker for tonight. He is a chartered architect and managing director of Design Consortium Private Limited, an award-winning veteran of architectural practice. He is a fellow member of Sri Lanka Architect FIA, also a member at Royal Institute of British Architect RIBA. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for a warm welcome to architect Migara Alwis.
MD of Greenlam team, architects from India, senior architects from Sri Lanka, architects, friends in architecture, ladies and gentlemen. Architects from India, I don't speak your language, but I understand because I'm married to one. When Varun came to my office and wanted me to speak a few words, I simply told him that I have nothing to say. Then I asked him, do you want me to talk about your product? He said, no, we don't want you to talk about our product. Then I asked him, are the Indian architects going to give their work to us, Sri Lankan architects? He said, no. Then I said, okay, then are the Sri Lankan architects going to work with the Indian architects? He said he doesn't know. Then what Varun said is, man, you run a big office, tell us what you do. So then at that point, I thought, okay, I'm simply the custodian of Design Consortium. The empire was built by my father. I have only to kind of look after it. It's well run and we have a good team. Currently, we have about 88 full-time staff. And over the past 3 years, despite all calamities, we have delivered about 3 million square feet. So what we do and what we are good at is the business part of architecture. What I'm going to say today is purely my experience, and I'm happy to share that with you, and you're entitled to have a difference in opinion. That's fine by me. I will take you, I'm not going to show any slides. Some of these showcase some of the buildings done by my company anyway. So my office got first affected by the bomb, Easter bomb, then with COVID, and then after it was the economic crisis. With approximately 100 staff, when all projects came to a halt, no turnover, and we have to deal with contractors who are not paid. We have to deal with clients who have to deliver projects on time. And I'm worried about how I pay my wages on the 25th to about 100 staff. So what we did was we started breaking down the building into components. Architecture, structure, MEP, but then further, if you take the structure alone, okay, what is the thickness of a concrete column, what is the thickness of a concrete slab, so on and so forth. If you take a facade, okay, what are the components of a facade? You have the main structure, the brackets, the subframe, the frame, and then the final finish. And then we were wondering how we could cut cost, Now, value engineering is a commonly used term, but value engineering does not mean that you can give a substandard product. The product has to meet a certain level of quality, and what we give the client, the end user, must have a proper product which would withstand at least 10-15 years because they pay a good price for what they purchase. So at this juncture, what we realized was, in order for us to move forward, there has to be a change in technology. We could not build with the standard methods and achieve the cost saving. Over the past few years, there have been a significant advancement in components like paints, adhesives, pre-finished materials. So you had to incorporate these by changing the technology into existing contracts in place. So we had to have discussions with some of the largest contractors in this country and the clients and ourselves, brainstorming as to how we can achieve these. I will just run you through a facade. Now, if you take a facade, the conventional facade firstly has a significant weight if it's a curtain wall, and then you have the structure, the brackets that the subframe gets connected to the brackets, and then you have the frame and then the glass. So with the use of new technology, we were able to eliminate the subframe. So we were working with companies like Shuko and many other facade consultants. And what we found is we could take this subframe out. Taking the subframe out gave almost a 25 to 30% reduction in cost. And also, if you have a structure where there's a cantilever at the end of the building, then you are able to, wait, I missed the point. Did I miss the point? Yeah. If you have a cantilever, you're able to reduce the thickness of the cantilever and have reduced the structural cost as well. So things like that. We went into great depths. That is how we were able to deliver this 3 million square feet that we did. Because company would have crashed if all the projects came to a complete standstill and we were not able to at least spin the wheel slowly, not at the speed that it was in 2018, but it had to turn. We couldn't let it stop. So this is what we did. Even if we were thinking of interior finishes, we could not finish it in the conventional way where you have masonry wall and then finish the masonry wall in order to have the appropriate thick cement render, then finish the cement rendered wall, and thereafter have the final finish. So it was appropriate to go for a drywall partition where you eliminate a masonry wall and you work with the structural grid, incorporating a subframe, and then the exterior and the interior finish. We were able to do it with pre-finished material. So Greenlam, yes, you are doing pre-finished materials which help to reduce cost in construction today. So it would be appropriate if you also think of the weight of materials. Varun was telling me that new materials, the weight is rather less. So probably, that is one of the materials we can use moving forward. When we come into M&E, the cost of cables had gone up significantly. So then we had to think whether we were using copper cables or aluminum cables. Aluminum cables have now improved. If they are not carrying heavy loads. Now, conventionally, we had to have copper cables because we were using heavy loads, but general lighting today, because of LED, the use of LED lights, the load is rather less. So you're able to use aluminum cables and use copper only for the heavy loaded areas and reduce that cost as well. So this is how we incorporated technology into each element, each minute element, to reduce cost and complete our projects. Then I've spoken about the facades, I've spoken about M&E. Then also, how do you work with contractors? Now, awarding a project, say you're just about to kick off, if it's, I'll talk in Sri Lankan rupees, if it is a 1 billion rupee project, conventional method, you award it to a contractor with a 20% advance. Not doable. You have to see, you have to cut the imported component out and award what is locally available. Because of import restrictions, we had to first award what is possible to be awarded. So we gave first structure. So then you pay not 20%, maybe 10%. Of course, contractor has to cooperate. Since we work with the large contractors, we were able to do so. So you cut the advance to about 10%, and also from the total building cost, what you award to a contractor is about 20 to 30%. So the ball keeps rolling. The wheel spins slowly. So that is how we were able to move forward. And when awarding contracts also, this, sometimes I call Professor Vedikara at all odd times, so to ask Professor, can we do this? So then she thinks for a few minutes and says, Migara, you can, but be careful of the risks you take. So thank you, Professor, for that advice that you constantly give. So you had to think of new ways of moving forward. So I'm happy to share this experience with you today, and I hope it has, brought new thinking into the industry, and it will provoke some kind of thought. So in a group like this, where we have two different architects from two different countries, I think it's good to provoke thought so that during fellowship we can talk about these things. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed or you learned something from what I had to share. It's purely my experience. Thank you.